Gigi, I've decided not to leave this town. Maybe I can stay and find some other nice people who will like me and accept me for who I am.
Trusting your spirit, yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
We are movers after all. After all, we are movers. With the ability to be locked or bent or balanced. Don't we wish to be balanced? And don't we move in the way in which we think we are constructed? Our minds and bodies so smart. This window to this godlike experience that you are. How art thou? Good morning, everyone. Ooh, baby. Welcome to another Mover Monday. How art thou? A Mover Monday on your only no-nonsense podcast, brought to you through the Best Feeling Network and your own body, baby. Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world, I invite you to allow all of these words to enter one ear and out the other, as we are always attaching to the meanings of what we're talking about at all times, never just the strict objects themselves. Our producer up here on the screen would like to have that body mapping video up there in a very short second. My name is Herbie. Good morning, everyone. This is absolutely How Go On, as we use some body magic tricks to feel so good from the inside out, better than your morning would feel without. Stretching our self-awareness like a muscle every morning. Why? To feel better, objectively. How? With the help of your only no-nonsense podcast. Welcome, guys, to the front of your shins. Have you been feeling the front of your shins? Are you ready to stretch your self-awareness and feel so good in that body of ours? By not really doing much, but just paying attention to different things in our body and watching our body react to it as we are stretching our self-awareness. Guess what, everybody? It is 5:35 a.m. on October 11th, 2021. Can you believe it already? It is Monday, October 11th, 2021.
Thoughts of this confusion.
Thoughts of this confusion in the body. How art thou? Wherever you are, have you been having thoughts of misconfusion in the body? Are you outside right now? Are you indoors? Have you been struggling in your life? Or have you been able to endure? Do you feel that you're breathing well, or has your breathing been feeling like it's been suffering for sure? Have you been remembering that the weight of your body is delivered down the weight of the body is delivered down the front of your spine and not the back? Have you been remembering that the weight of the spine wants to be delivered in through the front of the spine and not the back, as these blue lines are showing. Are you walking outside right now? Are you walking the dogs? Are you with the kids, or are you all alone? Have you been remembering that the tip of your tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth? I say again, that the tip of your tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth today, and I challenge you to bring that into your awareness. No matter where you are, no matter how far you are, near or far, cruising on a star, wherever you are. It is a Mover Monday, which means we will be talking about a concept with the body. A body mapping concept, a body magic trick to make your body feel so good from the inside out. What is body mapping? Something that your body's always doing. Creating internal representations of itself since the day of birth, since the day of conception. Your body has been creating, your mind has been creating a internal representation of its body in order to know how to use it, coordinate, and all sorts of things, get information from it. And as your body changes throughout life, gets smaller or most likely larger through time, but after a certain age, smaller. Your body changes in shape, and so your mind's internal representation of itself must adjust for truth in order to achieve most balance and achieve most proper breathing, proper coordination, and feeling of the actual response to the moment. It needs to update its firmware of its internal representation of its own body as it changes throughout life. Creates a map. And so as it already is always creating a map, whether or not it is actually closer to the truth is another story, and the body will move with which quality it is closest to truth. Similar to trying to slide open a swinging door. Energy can be spent, but the quality with which the door moves and the health at which the door moves is dependent on how close to the truth your idea of this door is. Our bodies function similarly. So on Mover Monday, as we are body mapping, creating this map of our body, getting closer to the truth of it to feel so good from the inside out, today we are discussing the front of the shins. Are you feeling the front of the shins today? Are you with the friends? Are you guys at a rec center? Are you bumping us out there? Or are we in the headphones? Are we just talking through your ear right now? Are we just talking through your ear right now? So we are always creating this internal representation of ourselves, and we must keep it updated as our body changes if we are to not break the gears or damage the panels on our body, so to speak, as if it was a door and we were trying to understand that we should not swing a sliding door. As we are constantly keeping our body map updated as we continue to progress and grow throughout life and change in our bodies throughout life. I invite you to go about updating this map of ours day by day on Palgo On, week by week on Mover Monday, as we discuss a new part of the body that we could all join in and invite one another in integrating into our internal representation properly. Why? To feel better, objectively. To breathe well, objectively. For you die every 5 minutes, but that timer is reset with a breath, right? in this simulation of ours. If we are indeed in this simulation now. That timer in which you die every 5 minutes is reset every time you take a breath. At the end of the day, is every experience not housed in a breath, even heartbreak, even embarrassment, guilt, pride, lust, envy, gluttony, sloth. At the end of the day, are all of these not housed in our body, which our experience is housed in every breath that we take? Isn't the quality with which we feel that we can breathe directly responsible for how much at peace we feel with a moment? Sloth, lust, pride, embarrassment, shame, envy. Do all of these parts of the human conditions not nest within a breath? I invite you to reverse engineer this breath with me. To feel so good no matter what. To feel that we can overcome anything no matter what comes. Any unforeseen circumstance, any unforeseen amount of suffering, external or internal. I invite you to have faith that we can overcome anything from the inside out by feeling the front of our shins, by getting to know ourselves, by getting to know our design, by mapping ourselves internally properly. To have faith that every breath can feel better than the last, no matter what human condition we are going through. Isn't that the true heartbreak that we experience every time? Is this feeling of uncertainty whether or not we will overcome? Well, let's become certain that we will overcome. Let's remember that the tip of our tongues want to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. No matter what you're doing, whether you are eating, whether you are swimming, whether you are doing backflips, whether you're doing front flips, whether you're doing spins, pirouettes, whether you're walking, whether you are walking backwards and far away. Remember that the tip of your tongues want to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. And especially today on Mover Monday, I want to ask you, are you feeling the front of your shins? Are you keeping the front of your shins in awareness as remembering the tip of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth? As those are part of your design each. And just because we are focusing on one and the awareness does not make the other one untrue. We will be back here on Pal Go On after a very short break to talk about the front of the shins on Mover Monday, October 11th, 2021. It is 5:45 a.m. Thank you guys so much for coming through. We'll be right back after this very, very, very short break. Thank you guys so much. Be right back. those six senses that you have. You got that kinesthesia, the feeling of your own body, the weight of your own body in itself. As we are remembering that our feet are not L's, but indeed arches, in which weight is delivered to from the front of the shins. Welcome back, everybody. I invite you in this simulation of ours, in which we die every 5 minutes, but that timer is reset with a breath. I invite you. I challenge you to pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. Just a flickering candle. Just right in front of your lips, like right in front of your lips. I invite you to pretend there's a candle like 1 to 2 inches in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. And you're not thinking about exhaling or inhaling. There's just a candle flickering in front of your lips. As you are remembering that the tip of your tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom teeth. And there's still a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out without thinking about exhaling, without thinking about inhaling. And I challenge you to say it with me, even if it's just in your head, that the back 1/3 of your tongue is, say it with me, vertical, up and down, up and down. Even if it's just in your head, again, I invite you to say it with me. The back of your tongue is vertical, up and down, up and down. As we observe our sense of self, how does that feel for you? Don't just take my word for it, but how does that feel for you? As we are stretching our self-awareness like a muscle, ready to supercharge not just our day, but our week on Mover Monday. The front of the shins, baby. I invite you to hold that candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out as we are holding this controller together properly in this simulation in which we're living in which we die every 5 minutes, but that timer is reset with a breath. I invite you to pretend there's a candle in front of those lips, not just my lips, or not just your lips, but everyone's lips that you perceive. I invite and challenge you to remember that. I invite and challenge you to place into your awareness today that part of the human design is that in every person's mind's eye, in every person's imagination, their awareness, they're placing a candle in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. As they're not thinking about exhaling and they're not thinking about inhaling, but no matter what they're doing, whether they're walking, whether they're talking, whether they're running, whether they're skydiving, whether they are reading a book, whether they are speaking out loud, whether they are writing, I challenge you to remember that part of the human design is that in every person, as they are doing that thing, in their mind's eye, they are putting a candle in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. And they're not thinking about exhaling or inhaling as they do, so they're just keeping the intention of trying to not put this candle out. Just like yourself, I challenge you to keep yourself in that awareness as well, that you are also one of those people who does that in their mind's eye. And I invite you to say it with me. The back of the back 1/3 of your tongue is vertical, up and down, up and down. And this is true for everybody too. With their candles, I invite you to remember that everybody is keeping that in their awareness, as we're all one and the same. To even understand each other, we are all one and the same. And how does that feel for you? Don't just take my word for it, but how does that feel for you? Today we will be talking about the front of the shins. Why the front of the shins? Why not the side of the hip bone? Why not the back of the tailbone, in which we do not deliver weight through? Why not the back of the spine? Why not the tip of the nose? Why not this left eye? Why are we talking about the front of the shins? We're always attacking misconceptions brought onto us not only by ourselves but by society on Pogo 1. As what are we most easily concerned with as human beings? Problems, right? Attracted to problems. Do we see a large spread problem? And perhaps an incorrect internal representation of the lower leg, the shins? Possibly? It would make sense that if we live in a visual world, we would visually look at the calves and we would visually look at the shins and say, hey, perhaps the weight should be delivered down the back of the calves. However, no weight can be delivered into fleshy calves, but all the weight can be delivered down the front of the shins. And how does that feel for you? As our bones are meant to deliver that weight, and our muscles cannot do that on their own. Our muscles cannot support our weight as they are fleshy muscles, just fleshy, slabby muscles. Should we switch our internal representation? If you would entertain the idea of shifting the internal representation of the back of those fleshy calves, imagine that those back of those fleshy calves actually hang from the top of the front of the shins, allowing the weight of the body to be delivered now down the front of the shins as your ankles bend upwards. How does that feel for you? Does this permission that your body gives itself allow itself a different kind of awareness of itself? As we pretend that there's a candle in front of not just our lips, but everybody's lips that we are each trying to not put out. I challenge you in remembering that nobody is thinking about exhaling or inhaling, simply about this candle in front of their lips in which they're trying to not put out. No matter whether you are sitting down or standing up, should you give your awareness the permission to entertain the idea of placing weight or believing that the weight of the body wants to be delivered down the front of the shins? How does your body treat you afterwards? How does your body reward you with afterwards or punish you? Does it feel like pain, or does your body feel that it has freedom to move? Simply becoming aware that the weight of the body wants to be delivered down the front of the shins. How does that feel for you on Mover Monday? Reintroducing ourselves to ourselves into our awareness. Conversation with ourselves about ourselves into our awareness. We live so far from our shins. Herbie, what do you mean? Your shins are right there. You live in your shins. You are your body. And yet, don't we exist behind our eyes most of the time? Don't we consider our souls to be right behind our vision, behind what we can see? Don't we live in our vision most of the time in this world? And so isn't it so fascinating to be able to look down at your front of your shins and know that is still you? A you that is far from you. As we identify often with the soul behind our eyes. And yet there is a part of us that is so very far away. The front of the shins. Looking down at him. All the way down there. As we pretend there's a candle not just in front of our lips, but in front of everyone's lips. That we're trying to not put out. There is a version of you so far from you, apart from you. Might that be so comforting To know not only can you push yourself outwards, but there is a part of you away from you, which means another part of you cannot, not just limited to pushing, but can also pull now. As in, not only can you just project your vision outwards, or at least onto, not only can you just look outwards onto what your body and mind are thinking about, or what your brain wants to put its awareness on, but there is a part of you that is down there, the front of your shins. There's a part of you in which can literally draw your awareness further from you. This part of you that is behind your eyes. A partnership built, a relationship built between you, whom not can only just reach for you, but now can also pull and expect for you. In this simulation in which we die every 5 minutes, but that timer is reset with a breath, I challenge you to hold that controller properly with me in this body and vessel of ours by pretending that there's a candle not just in front of our lips, but every person's lips in which we become aware of. And each person, including ourselves, are trying to not put this candle out as we not think about exhaling or inhaling. And lastly, I invite you to allow your awareness to be drawn to you, from you, as this candle is trying to not be put out. As this back 1/3 of your tongue is vertical, up and down, as the tip of your tongue wants to be anchored to the back, the bottom, front. Teeth. As the front of your shins wants to be drawn into your awareness, as the weight of the body wants to be delivered down the front of the shins and not the back. We'll be right back after this short break. My name is Herbie. And this is Pal Go On. We'll be right back. Only if you feel the front of your shins. Our feet are not L's, but indeed are arches, and how does that feel for you? As we remember that we should feel the front of our shins, or we will do whatever we want at the end of the day, but how does it feel to feel the front of the shins? In this simulation of ours, to unlock these superpowers, I invite you to hold this controller with us properly by pretending there is a candle in front of not just your lips, but every person's lips. Every being's lips, there is a candle in front of their lips. In their mind's eye, in their awareness, in every being, in every being's awareness, I invite you to pretend that there's a candle placed in the front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. And they're not thinking about exhaling, they're not thinking about inhaling. Simply thinking about trying to not put this candle out. I invite you to remember that the tip of your tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. But don't just take my word for it. Please allow all of these words to go in one ear and out the other. But how does it feel for you? I invite you, I challenge you to remember that the back 1/3 of your tongue is vertical, up and down, up and down. And does aligning closer to the truth reward you? Does your body reward you for aligning closer to the truth, entertaining ideas closer to the truth? As we ask ourselves, I invite you to ask yourselves, even if it's just in your head, say it with me. The back 1/3 of your tongue is vertical, up and down, up and down. Are you asking yourself, if you were thinking about how the back 1/3 of your tongue is vertical, up and down, say it with me, up and down, up and down, up and down. Good. Mover Monday, welcome back to the second half of the show. It is October 11th, 2021, Monday, Mover Monday, 6:05 a.m. Hello, 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 hello. Out there, out there, out there, out there. What you doing out there? Have you gotten a chance to sustain yourself with some sustenance? Have you drank some water today? Have you eaten some cabbage? Have you been eating some fruits? Some carbs? Have you been taking care of yourself? Have you gotten a good night's sleep? 8 hours is very important. Life is short, so every waking moment should be spent as well as possible. It's funny how sometimes different times in life can lead you to think that sleep is more or less important, right? At different phases in life, we have at different phases in life, our relationship with sleep can vary drastically. I remember being a young lad and thinking that the exchange of sleep was worth it. The amount of tirelessness and would balance out with the amount of energy I had as a child. And so staying up sometimes for some reason would be worth it. We have this relationship with ourselves, with our body, and its ability to output energy for itself, depending on what its spirit is focused on and how its spirit is conditioned. How able it feels to overcome any unforeseen suffering, unforeseen hardships. What relationship do we have with our body to be able to stay awake when it needs to stay awake? To be alert when it needs to be alert? To be excited when it needs to be excited? To be sexual when it needs to be sexual? What is our relationship with our body? And so are we remembering that the weight of our body wants to be delivered at the front of our shins and not the back? And during moments of anxiety, during moments of panic, how does that feel for us to remember that? Do we notice whether or not our body strays from the truth when it perhaps wants to maintain a certain outward posture? Why would it want to maintain some kind of outward posture? Well, don't we have ideas of what people want to see us like? Don't we have jobs to maintain that might require a certain kind of posture that we believe that we need to maintain? Doesn't our relationship with certain people sometimes feel like it depends on the kind of posture we can maintain when we're around them? At a date, for example, when stakes are high, for example, when you feel as though you are in danger of losing someone or perhaps receiving the wrath of someone like your caretaker when you're very young and powerless? Are there moments in life when we are very young and powerless, especially, which might cause us to feel like we need to look or act a certain way or perceive to be a certain way? So when we are adjusting to a way that we believe we are perceived, we want to be perceived, instead of a way that our body wants to feel, are we not creating a relationship more with how we believe people should see us, as opposed to creating a relationship with our body and ourselves to see how often we stray from truths? Why would it suck to stray from truths when we always trying to breathe well and doesn't stray further from truths in the body cause us to not breathe well? Are there moments and times in which you feel that your body wants to stray or forget about delivering weight down the front of your shins? Do you notice and feel possibly that there is an obvious or subtle shift away from a naturality of delivering weight into the front of those shins and allowing your ankles to bend if that's what it takes? Allowing the awareness of your calves to shift from being held behind your shins to being placed on top of your shins so that the weight is delivered down through the front of your shins instead? How does that feel for you? How does it feel to feel those saggy, fleshy, impressive, large calves? To be draped down the top and front of those shins. How does that feel for you? Does your body give itself permission to feel? Does your body create a stronger relationship with how it's feeling and not how it believes it should be postured according to how it wants to be perceived by other people? And does that not give you the strength and courage, and does that not give you the energy you might need to substantiate something from within you, which would create the connection you so desire? This relationship with oneself, the ability to see the self so far from the self, another part of the self, the front of the shin, so far from what we consider to be ourselves, our eyes, our vision, and yet is still ourselves. Do we not create a stronger relationship with ourselves and so do we not manifest the strength and ability to have faith in oneself now that we establish a relationship with oneself? And not other people and the appearance of how other people might be judging us, and this committee approach of thinking about what other people are thinking about us, when we do not know who will be around us and we do not know what they're even thinking. And furthermore, we must account for everybody as we are trying to take the committee approach of understanding ourselves and understanding how we should view our bodies and understanding of how we should place our weight. Here on Mover Monday on Padawan, do we not muster the exact energy that we think we need to finally go out and be what we can be in order to get the love that we want to receive whenever we adjust our posture to appease other people? And how do we get that energy to break free from being dependent on how other people see me? How do we break free? By getting closer to the truth with you and me. By remembering that part of the design in this simulation of ours is not just the candle, but the fact that the weight of the body wants to be delivered down the front of the shins, placing your impressive calves, your beautiful calves, not hanging behind your shins, but rather feeling more on top, draped over the shins. And how does that feel for you? And does that not give you energy for you? And how does that feel for you? And is not all we need is simply energy and permission for our bodies to receive, to actually go out and be. To go out and be the thing that gets the attention that we, and the love that we believe that we want to receive. For whenever we try to change our body and try to adjust for the way other people might see us. As we adjust in our own body to perhaps match up for what we believe other people want us to see us as, to receive the love that we believe we want to receive, was the only thing that we were missing was simply the permission of our own bodies to go out and do those things. The permission for our bodies to give our bodies to go out and be what it takes to get the attention and love that we wanted to receive. But instead we adjusted our body. Are you feeling the front of your shins? And how does that feel for you? Does that feel like it gives permission for you? I want you to feel so free. We'll be right back after this short break. Thank you. My name is Herbie and this has been Padawan. We'll be right back. Only if you feel the front of your shins. Down the front of the shins. As you can see on the screen, a common misconception that we're battling with you and me. It is not uncommon to want to place the weight down the back of the calves, as we are always living in our eyes. It's not It's not a far-fetched idea to look at calves and look at the shins and believe that the weight does want to be delivered down the back of the calves should you want to relax. But switching in your internal representation, switching your calves, your fleshy calves, switching in your internal representation of your fleshy calves from being hanging behind the shins to being on top and draped over your shins. How does that feel for you? Don't just take my word for it, but how does that feel for you? As we are moving our self-awareness around and introducing ourselves to new ideas about our own body every Mover Monday. How does that feel for you? Welcome back to the last quarter of the show. I want to thank you so much for coming through on YouTube. And D Live if you were there, and Twitch if you were over there somehow. Today is October 11th, Mover Monday, 2021, 6:18 a.m. I invite you to pretend there's a candle with me in front of your lips, in front of everybody's lips that they're trying to not put out. I invite you to remember that part of every human being's design is that in their mind's eye, or whatever, they're placing a candle in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out, including you. I invite you and I challenge you to place this into your awareness, these candles. And the awareness that in every person's awareness, they're not thinking about exhaling, they're not thinking about inhaling, but simply the candle in front of their lips in which they're trying to not put out. No matter who you're speaking to, no matter what you're looking at, whether it is you in the mirror and there's a candle in front of both of you, in the reflection and your lips, or you're speaking to your boss, so there's a candle in front of both your lips and your boss's lips, or you're speaking over the internet with someone like me, then there's a candle in front of your lips and my lips that we're trying to not put out, and we're not thinking about exhaling or inhaling. The candle's just flickering there. Even a face you cannot see, but should that face come up in your mind's eye as you are speaking to them, I challenge you to remember that there's a candle not just in front of your lips, but in front of that perception of their face lips in your mind's eye. I challenge you to pretend there's a candle in front of their lips in which they're trying to also not put out, and they're not thinking about exhaling and they're not thinking about inhaling, but simply remembering there's a candle there flickering there that they're trying to not put out, as well as the fact that the tip of their tongues, as well as yours, want to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. And as the candle flickers there, and they try to not put it out, and they're not thinking about inhaling or exhaling, I invite you to remember that the back of 1/3 of every person's lips, or every person's tongues, are vertical, up and down, up and down. The back 1/3 of everyone's tongues are vertical, up and down, up and down. And how does that feel for you? If you would say it with me, even if it's just in your head, please say it with me. The back 1/3 of your tongue is vertical. Up and down, up and down. No matter what you were doing, whether you were sitting down, whether you are typing away at the computer, whether you are scratching your head, whether you are speaking to a partner, whether you are still in bed, I invite you to remember that the back 1/3 of your tongue is vertical, up and down. And how does that feel for you? As there is a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out, in front of everyone's lips that they're trying to not put out. Have you ever noticed that you live behind your eyes, that we consider ourselves to be the person behind our eyes wherever you are, whether you are chilling at a bar, whether you are hanging out, dancing out? Don't we live behind our eyes? And so isn't there a version of us that is so far away from us at the same time? The front of your shins when you look down. The you, but it's not you. The front of your shins. The you, but it's not you. As you are living behind these eyeballs of yours, right? Typically we live behind these eyeballs, right? We consider our mind up there, right? What we are guiding our body and spirit with, right? But you look down at the front of your shins. You look down at the front of your shins. You keep the front of your shins in your awareness. Remember that the fleshy, impressive calves that you have hang and drape over the top of your shins, not hang on the back as the weight is delivered down the front of your shins. You look down at the front of your shins, and that is you, and yet you live behind your eyes. The you, but it's not you. And when we are drunk, and when we are inebriated, and when you just wake up, and when we are sleepy, oftentimes our body finds ways to move on its own. Find its way to its bathroom. Find the way to brushing your teeth. Find a way to brush your hair. Find the way to get yourself sorted while being half conscious sometimes. A mind of its own. The you without you. We live behind our eyes, and yet we can see the front of our shins. Become aware of the front of our shins, and that is still us. The us. Without us, we have a relationship with ourselves, an identity that we can verify, not just from within, but from without. An identity which we can verify not just outbursting from the one within us, but one we can verify from a one that is without us. A relationship in which can be created from two things, as a relationship always needs. The front of your shins into your awareness or not. A deterministic look on your body. A view that is outside of you. No longer only are we to push and push and push and push and push on this Movement Monday. No longer are we only able to push and push and push and reach further and further away from what we are to be something better than we are. But as we can see the front of our shins, a version of us so distant and so far away from our eyeballs, so far away from us. And yet all together so close and are all at one with us. Do the second half of us down there, that front of the shins, allow us not only the ability now to push and push and push beyond what our eyes can see, but actually also pull and pull and pull and pull towards what our eyes want. As we now have another you out there that is not you. Is a pulling motion. Is a deterministic motion of ourselves. Is a relationship with ourselves. One that now not only is a push, but can it also now be a pull. Can that not create a polarity like a yin and yang? Can that not generate motion? Can that not generate a relationship that can be strengthened forever? Are you remembering that the back calves, those impressive fleshy calves of yours, want to be draped and hung over the top of your shins, the front of your shins? Imagine these calves as if they were not hanging on the back like some sacks, but rather chilling on the top of your your calves or your shins. Imagine that those fleshy calves were chilling on the top of your shins, hanging down the front of your shins, like right underneath where your knees are. Imagine that those calves are being draped over the front of the shins, and how does that feel for you? As you remember that the back 1/3 of the tongue is vertical. The tip of your tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. Always. As it is for everybody. Whether you are alone, chilling in the reflection, whether you are alone looking at a TV screen, or me, or whether you are with your friends and family, I invite you to perceive or become aware that every person's awareness is aware that the tip of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. And how does that feel for you? As we are movers after all. We might notice how far forward of the body it feels to remember that the tip of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. We might notice how forward of the body that feels. We might feel how unsteady that feels. Thank you for that follow, Philippe's. We might notice how in motion and how demanding of energy it might feel for the tip of the tongue wanting to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. We might notice that. We might notice a constant energy that requires to be applied to be able to feel that. But we are movers after all. We are indeed movers after all. No matter the situation. Still or not still. Paradoxical? Maybe. So is the fact that the front of your shins are you, and yet not you, as we live behind our eyes. Thank you guys so much for coming through. The mother of all shins, Felipe Mullen says. Mother of all shins. Thank you so much for that follow, Philippe's. If that is the same person. Probably, maybe. Phonetically, they sound similarly. I want to thank you guys so much for coming through. Well, I believe we are just on YouTube right now. Twitch is being... Well, it's not Twitch. It's Streamlabs OBS. The multi-streaming is being kind of wonky, but we're going to fix things up. Nevertheless... All of the well wishes, the support, and the love have not been falling upon deaf ears. This heart has been full, and we've been moving forward. Padawan forever. We're not going nowhere. Prepare for more body magic tricks. Thank you so much for all of the engagement on Instagram, TikTok. We'll see you again soon. But thank you for all the engagement that we've already been on there. Twitter. Lovely people at Twitter. The lovely, peaceful people at Twitter. And anybody who's been spreading through word of mouth of just how freaking weird this stuff is, right? Hey guys, isn't this a weird podcast? That's how I want you guys to advertise it. It's totally cool. I don't care how they get here, just get them here. Let's hold our controller properly. Let's freaking kumbaya the real way. Let's actually have world peace through individual inner peace, inner strength. Let's hold each other in our awareness. Let's lock fingers, so to speak, in our awareness for once. Let's listen to each other for real. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you always feel the front of your shins. I hope you always listen to the front of your shins as if they were vibrating to the world around you like a tuning fork. I hope you always keep the front of your shins in your awareness. Front of the shins to you, my friend. May the shins be with you. But don't just take my word for it. Dun dun dun. How does that feel for you? Have a great one, everyone. This has been a fantastic morning. Feeling so good. From the inside out. Better than your morning would feel without. World peace through individual inner strength and peace. Feeling better, objectively. How's that even possible? Through the help of your only no-nonsense podcast. No nonsense. Brought to you through the Best Feeling Network. Elbow cough. Dab on that. My name is Herbie. Good morning. Please remember that there's a candle in front of everybody's lips that they're trying to not put out. They're not exhaling. They're not inhaling. There's just a candle there. The back 1/3 of their tongue is vertical. The back 1/3 of everybody's tongue is vertical. The tip of everybody's tongues wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. Feel the front of the shins with me, baby. Remember, you do not sit on your legs. And this has been absolutely Pow Go On. Forever. Feel the front of the shins. You are a mover after all. I'll go on forever, or at least until that word stops meaning anything.